What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. If you don't know who I am, my name is Kyle Kringen, aka the Minimalist Pitcher. I'm a remote development coach for high school and college pitchers looking to become the best versions of themselves and gain velocity in the process. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you exactly why you might be stuck in your velocity, quite literally every single possibility of why that might be, and I'm going to give you the solution for each individual diagnosis. And by the end of this video, I'm going to show you the exact process that's helped all of my guys break out of velocity plateaus and gain on average 4.2 miles an hour in as little as 12 weeks. Every diagnosis, every single thing that I've written up here is a possible reason that you might be stuck in your velocity. You are not limited to just one of these. Most guys, I would argue 99% of guys, are probably struggling with more than one of these at a time. So first one, if you're undersized, probably a younger pitcher, more likely in high school, underclassmen, but heck, upperclassmen actually fall prey to this as well. If you're undersized, meaning if you're like 180 pounds less, right? Especially on your size as well, like your height. If you're a shorter pitcher, we definitely want to make up for that with size. But sometimes you get long, lanky pitchers who are taller and just need to eat more. So what's the solution? We need to be in a calorie surplus consistently over time. You got to figure out what are your calories to maintain your weight, and then how can we improve that and increase that 300 to 500 calories at the very minimum over time. If you're too weak, well, we got to gain strength over time. You got to put weight on the bar. You just have to build your foundation in strength and get stronger in the key movement patterns. So push, pull, squat, hinge, lunge, and carry. So all of those should be in your program, and you should be progressively overloading those throughout the weeks, and make sure you're actually on a program consistently and not just randomly guessing what to do based off of Instagram or YouTube. Too slow. So what I mean by this is maybe you're a bigger guy and you got to just drop weight. So that's why the solution is to be in a calorie deficit. You might actually just have unnecessary fat that's holding you back from actually being athletic. You want lean mass on you. You can have, you can afford to have extra weight on you, but ultimately we need to be moving athletically. And to move athletically, you have to train athletically. So a lot of these bigger dudes, to get more powerful, you got to do more plyometric work. You got to do yielding isometrics. So you got to do rate of force development training that we'll talk about later, more med ball drills that are going to improve your rotational force development. So that's how you go from being too slow to being more athletic. If you are inefficient, this is a big one. And a lot of the time, this will be guys who are stuck in the low 80s to mid 80s specifically, because guys who are in the low 70s, mid 70s, upper 70s, their problems are usually these ones right here. But if you're in the 80s, you're probably too inefficient because you learned how to do all of these things, but you still have major root problems in your foundation. And if you don't address those root problems, then no drill is actually going to be good enough to really address what's going on, because at the root of it, the root of the problem, you have a major deficiency that's leaking energy that causes a multitude of other problems to happen in the throw. And unless you address them, you're probably going to have those same poor habits that you've had your entire life over time, and you're going to keep on doing them wrong. So the next one, well, actually the solution, let's go back. How do you get better mechanics? How do you get more efficient? A lot of guys think the solution is to be with an in-person pitching coach, and sure, that might work, but it's going to be very slow in your process. Yes, he's with you and can make immediate changes, but if you don't know what to do the next 6 days before you see him again, that causes progress to stall and be very slow. So if you're strong but not explosive, you get a lot of guys who train squat, bench, deadlift. Maybe they're stuck in the low 80s, but they train very slow. The body adapts specifically to the stimulus that you provide it. So if you don't do any power work, you don't do plyometrics, you don't do ground force production, then you're probably going to be slow because you train to be slow. So we have to incorporate more RFD specific training, ground force production. That way we can actually transfer that strength onto the mound, because the throw happens like that. We have to be fast twitch. The next one, being immobile. This is just going to be about, tight movers, right? Tight movers who cannot access deep ranges of motion. They're going to be limited by their hip mobility, most likely, sometimes even ankle mobility, T-spine mobility, and internal, external rotation of the shoulders. that causes problems that actually affect your sequencing, your efficiency, and your throw. So if we can clean this up through improving range of motion at each joint and improving stability to make sure we're not getting injured, that is going to be key. And then lastly, if you're domed up, you probably have a lot more velocity in you right now, but your brain is actually causing you to lose that potential velocity and keep you capped. And a lot of that time, it is because of your perspective. So how are you actually viewing your situation, your identity? Who do you actually believe to be? And then also your intention, as in when you're throwing high intent, what's going on? Are you actually truly throwing at high intent? These are the fixes that we need to make. We need to change the perspective on how you view your delivery. You should not be thinking mechanics when you're trying to throw high intent. Maybe have one cue, but ultimately it's about moving more athletically and getting out of this robotic mindset. And then your identity as well. Who do you believe you are? If you believe that you're a low 80s pitcher and that's where you're stuck, then you're going to stay there. You're only going to throw as hard as you believe is possible for yourself. And then your intention, again, if you're thinking you're throwing high intent, but actually there's some limiting factor in your mind, then your body is never truly going to unlock that high effort. So those are the actual solutions for every single diagnosis. Again, like I said, most guys are suffering from more than one of these at a time. So what is the overall solution? Because if you're suffering from multiple of these things at a time, then you have to have multiple solutions. So how do you have multiple solutions? Well, you need a process, and all of this stuff can be addressed in one singular thing, which should be your training program. Every single thing here is stuff that I work on with all my pitchers to improve their velocity and unlock their velocity over time through creating a process for all of these things. Because it is truly a holistic approach that you need to take. You can't have this band-aid perspective where, oh, I have this problem and this problem, so I'm going to just put little band-aids on both of them and hopefully it fixes the root issues. But truly, there might be a gaping wound and you might have multiple of these things going wrong in your process, and we need to address that. So what I do with my development program is I address the root issues of each of my guys' situations, and we come up with a process with structure, guidance, and mentorship for individualized programming so they can address all of these things within their process over time. So they have complete clarity, structure, guidance, mentorship every step of the way in their development process. So that is how you see my guys gaining 4.2 miles an hour on average in their velocity. It's not because we're putting band-aids on individual things, but rather the process, the minimalist pitching path, the program addresses all of these things at once, and then over time you see them all being addressed, and then the velocity increases as a result. If you are somebody who wants to improve on all of these things, have a solution for it, and know exactly what to do on a daily basis, then click the link in the description and book a call with me and see if the minimalist pitching path is a good fit for you to move forward so you can finally get out of your velocity plateau and move towards the results that you deserve.